What happens when two divine families, the fierce Aesir and the wise Vanir, clash in a war that shakes the heavens? What secrets lie behind Loki's chaotic legacy and the cursed children he brought into the world? In this second episode, we dive into the legendary war between gods, the rise of Loki's monstrous offspring, and the enchanted weapons that defined the fate of the realms. From Thor's hammer to the binding of Fenrir, this chapter reveals the deeper conflicts and treasures that shaped Norse mythology. Could the gods have prevented Ragnarok if they had trusted Loki? And what if Fenrir was never bound? Would the end of the world have come sooner? Let's explore these questions as we follow the footsteps of the gods and their enemies. Subscribe now to our channel, Best of History and Mythology. Leave a like, and turn on the notification bell to never miss a journey into the myths that shaped ancient beliefs. In Norse mythology, the gods were divided into two powerful clans, the Aesir and the Vanir. The Aesir, led by Odin, were the gods of war, power, and wisdom, dwelling in Asgard. Thor, with his mighty hammer, Mjolnir, was a prominent figure among the Aesir, known for protecting the gods and humanity from the Jotuns. Other notable Aesir gods included Balder, the god of beauty, and Tyr, the god of justice and war. The Vanir, on the other hand, were deities associated with nature, fertility, and prosperity. Frey, the god of peace and harvest, and his sister Freya, the goddess of love and beauty, were the most revered members of the Vanir. Their home was Vanaheim, a realm less known but equally powerful. Conflict arose between the Aesir and the Vanir, leading to a brutal war known as the Aesir-Vanir War. The reasons for this clash are lost in myth, but it is believed to have stemmed from differences in their values, power and conquest versus fertility and harmony. After prolonged fighting, the two sides realized that neither could achieve victory without devastating consequences for the cosmos. The Aesir and Vanir made peace, exchanging hostages to ensure their truce. Frey and Freya, representing the Vanir, moved to Asgard to live among the Aesir. This peace created a new era of cooperation between the Aesir and Vanir, with both groups of gods working together to protect the realms from external threats like Loki's mischief and the growing power of Fenrir, Jormungand, and the Jotuns of Jotunheim. However, even this unity could not prevent the looming disaster of Ragnarok, when the final battle would test the alliance between these once warring gods. The Aesir and Vanir together symbolize the balance between war and peace, destruction and fertility, a balance that would be crucial in their struggle to survive the chaos foretold in Norse myth. Loki, the most enigmatic figure in Norse mythology, is known for his cunning and unpredictable nature. Neither fully aligned with the Norse gods nor the Jotuns, Loki constantly walked the line between loyalty and chaos. As Odin's blood brother, Loki lived in Asgard among the Aesir, yet his true nature was that of a trickster, forever sowing discord. Loki's mischief ranged from harmless pranks to acts with devastating consequences. It was Loki who tricked the blind god Hodor into killing Balder, Odin's beloved son. This act set in motion the events leading to Ragnarok, where Loki's betrayal would come to full fruition. His complex relationship with the gods, particularly Thor and Odin, often swung between helping and hindering their efforts. Loki's schemes often led to danger, but his cleverness also saved the gods from peril, as seen when he assisted in the recovery of Thor's stolen hammer, Mjolnir. Loki was also the father of some of the most feared creatures in Norse myth. With the giantess Angerboda, he fathered Fenrir, the monstrous wolf destined to kill Odin during Ragnarok. Jormungand, the world serpent who would battle Thor. and Hel, the ruler of the underworld. Was it right for the gods to fear and imprison Fenrir before he committed any crime? Let us know in the comments. Was this a necessary precaution or an act of divine injustice? These offspring, born from Loki's chaotic influence, represented the forces that would ultimately bring about the end of the world. Despite his trickery, Loki's intelligence and resourcefulness made him an integral part of the Norse pantheon. His role in mythology explained the duality of creation and destruction, order and chaos. But even the gods of Asgard could not tolerate Loki's treachery forever. After his role in Baldur's death, Loki was bound by the gods in a cave where a serpent's venom dripped onto him, causing him unbearable pain. Loki's unpredictable nature and his ties to the destructive forces of Fenrir and Jormungand ensured that he would play a pivotal part in the downfall of the gods, securing his place as one of the most powerful yet dangerous figures in Norse culture. In Norse mythology, the gods were known not only for their strength and wisdom, but also for the powerful treasures they possessed, many of which were created by masterful dwarven craftsmen. These treasures played key roles in the defense of Asgard and the eventual battles of Ragnarok. The most famous of these items was Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. Forged by the dwarves Sindri and Brokkr, Mjolnir was the ultimate weapon against the Jotuns. Thor wielded his hammer to protect both Asgard and Midgard from the chaos of giants like Fenrir and Jormungand. Mjolnir's power was so immense that it could shatter mountains, yet it always returned to Thor's hand when thrown. This magical weapon became a symbol of Thor's strength and his role as the protector of the Norse gods. Odin's spear, Gungnir, was another legendary weapon. Crafted with runes that ensured it would never miss its mark, Gungnir symbolized Odin's authority and his wisdom as the Allfather. Odin used Gungnir to lead the Aesir in battles, and the spear played a pivotal role in Ragnarok as the gods faced their doom. Among the many treasures, Freyr's ship, Skidbladnir, was a marvel of dwarven ingenuity. Skidbladnir could hold all the gods and their weapons, yet it could be folded and placed in a pocket when not in use. This magical vessel was a symbol of Freyr's connection to nature and fertility, highlighting the importance of harvest and prosperity in Norse culture. Other notable items included Draupnir, Odin's golden ring, which produced 8 new rings every 9th night, symbolizing wealth and abundance. Sif's golden hair, given to her by Loki after he cut off her natural hair as a prank, was another treasure created by the dwarves, representing fertility and beauty. Each of these treasures was deeply intertwined with the fates of the gods and the looming threat of Ragnarok. These treasures were not just symbols of power. They embodied the balance between creation and destruction that defined Norse mythology. Thor, the god of thunder, was one of the most powerful figures in Norse mythology, renowned for his countless adventures defending Asgard and Midgard from the Jotuns. Armed with his mighty hammer, Mjolnir, Thor's bravery and strength were unmatched among the Norse gods. His adventures often involved battling giants, symbolizing the eternal struggle between order and chaos. One of Thor's most famous exploits was his journey to the land of the giants, Jotunheim, to retrieve his stolen hammer. Disguised as the goddess Freya, Thor attended a mock wedding to trick the giant Thrym, who had taken Mjolnir. Once Thor's hammer was returned, he swiftly destroyed Thrym and his kin, reasserting his dominance over the Jotuns. This story highlights Thor's cunning and his unyielding protection of Asgard, making him a favorite figure in Norse culture. Another adventure involved Thor's encounter with the giant Hrungnir, who challenged the gods. Thor, wielding Mjolnir, fought Hrungnir in a fearsome duel, ultimately smashing the giant's skull with his hammer. This battle emphasized Thor's role as the guardian of both the Norse gods and humanity. Thor's adventures weren't always about brute strength. He also faced trials of wit. On his journey to Utgard Loki's castle, Thor and his companions were challenged by illusions that tested their intelligence and endurance. Although Thor was tricked into competing in impossible tasks, such as trying to drink the sea or wrestle an old woman who was actually old age personified, his efforts demonstrated his relentless determination. Thor's most significant encounter was with the world serpent, Jormungand, his archenemy. In one tale, disguised as a fisherman, Thor attempted to lift the colossal serpent from the sea, nearly dragging it onto the boat before it escaped. This rivalry between Thor and Jormungand symbolized the tension leading up to Ragnarok, where the two would face off in a final, fatal battle. Through his adventures, Thor became the embodiment of heroism and protection in Norse mythology. His fearless confrontations with the Jotuns and his ultimate sacrifice at Ragnarok cemented his place as a central figure among the Norse gods, embodying the strength and resilience needed to defend Asgard and Midgard from the forces of chaos. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Norse mythology, don't forget to subscribe to Best of History and Mythology, give this video a like, and hit the bell icon. We bring you powerful stories, legendary heroes, and ancient truths every week. Fenrir, the monstrous wolf, was one of the most feared beings in Norse mythology. Born to Loki and the giantess Angerboda, Fenrir grew at an alarming rate, and the Norse gods quickly realized that this creature would pose a dire threat, especially during Ragnarok. Prophecies foretold that Fenrir would ultimately kill Odin in the final battle, driving the gods to take action to bind the wolf before his power became uncontrollable. The gods attempted to bind Fenrir multiple times. At first, they used conventional chains, but the wolf broke free with ease, snapping them as if they were threads. It was clear to the gods that no ordinary means could contain Fenrir. They turned to the dwarves, who forged a magical chain called Gleipnir, made from impossible elements like the sound of a cat's footsteps and the breath of a fish. Though Gleipnir appeared delicate, it was unbreakable. Sensing a trap, Fenrir refused to be bound without a test of trust. He demanded that one of the gods place their hand in his mouth as a pledge of good faith. Tyr, the god of war and justice, bravely stepped forward, knowing the price he would pay. As Fenrir struggled against Gleipnir and realized he had been tricked, he bit off Tyr's hand in a rage. Despite his fury, Fenrir was unable to break free, and the gods secured him far away, deep within the earth. Would you have done what Tyr did? Would you sacrifice your hand to protect the world from a monster? Comment below. What would you choose, sacrifice, trust, or fear? The binding of Fenrir was a temporary victory for the Aesir, but they knew that this act of containment was only delaying the inevitable. The tension between the bound wolf and the gods of Asgard mirrored the underlying chaos that threatened the cosmic balance. Fenrir's confinement also reflected the complex nature of Loki's offspring, each symbolizing different aspects of destruction. Fenrir's eventual role in Ragnarok, along with his siblings, Jormungand and Hel, underscored the impending doom the gods sought to postpone, but could never fully escape. One god gave his hand, another lost his son, and the end was only just beginning. Thanks for watching, and see you in episode 3, always here on Best of History and Mythology.